Good morning.
Good morning, Mandy. What's up?
How are you?
I'm excited to be here, and always to chat with you is such a pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
I am so excited that we kind of last minute decided to record this call and talk about some really exciting plans that we've just made. So thanks for joining me. Cheers.
Yeah. Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
Are
I'm
you?
having morning coffee still because it's still early over here in Mountain Time.
Oh, I had that a few hours ago, and it's 10 a.m. here, so I'm back on the water train.
Nice, nice. Did you I saw your Instagram this morning. You got up and busted out your 5 a.m. dance party workout.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in the habit of taking a 10-minute YouTube hip hop dance tutorial because I think my moves are stale and I got to come up with something new. So I'm working on that. It's always a work in progress, but I'm
Yeah,
having a good time learning some new dance moves.
that's so great. Well, if you guys are just tuning in to today's video, I'll do a quick introduction and then we'll go back to talking about fun things. So just so we don't lose people right away. I'm Mandy with run.Windsor, and I know that Matt's probably already got your attention here. He's full of energy and life, which is why our souls have connected. So Matt Scoletti, and I'll let you introduce yourself to our followers.
Yeah, Matt Scoletti out here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I am an ultra marathon runner. I am somebody who just loves to push myself in physical ways, but I think it ends up being more of a mental game than anything. And 5 a.m. dance party addict, I guess you'd say, cold plunger, and former alcoholic. So I got to throw the good in there with the bad. And I'm excited to chat about any of that and more with you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Scoletti and I, those that know me, and if I'm talking to Scoletti's followers here, my name is Mandy, and I own the Run Windsor Race Series and co-owner of the Run Colorado Relays. Also have a nonprofit, but I too am an ultra marathon runner, new to cold plunge addict. I've also turned my 11-year-old into, and my 9-year-old. They love it as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so when you get out here, Scoletti, they will plunge with you. So new to
Yes.
that world. I think what Matt and I have had in common is just all things adventure and pushing your limits. Just trying to live our best life and every day to the fullest. And we haven't really said why we're talking, but
We're talking because I love talking to you,
we
and
do love
hopefully we're adding
talking.
value. Hopefully we're adding value. Yeah.
We are adding value. We're adding value. We're like, we'll get to the point sometime, but these are
Yeah.
all very valuable points too. So I was excited because I saw that you had emceed a race, the Clearwater Marathon. And that was super awesome. I watched some snips of you doing that. And I don't even know who reached out, but for those of you that are watching and listening, Scoletti and I are connecting on another level because we have decided to bring him out to Colorado to MC 4 of our races this year. And this all spun off of him branching out and doing something different. So I want to hear about the MCing the race for you, how you got into that, and what you loved about it, and why we started our conversation about you hopping into the Run Windsor and Run Colorado race series.
Well, first off, I'm sure you can see the smile on my face. I cannot wait to come out there 4 times this year and just bring it because it's such a passion of mine, and just I know at least in some capacity what it takes to get to the finish line of any race. I don't care if it's a 1 miler, a 5K, full marathon, 100 miler. I know that people are getting way out of their comfort zones doing this, and for me to have even a 5 or 10 second interaction with somebody and try to make that finish a little more exciting than it would have been, just because you can see the pain or the discomfort or the joy and the euphoric feel, and I just want to give it a little more oomph when they cross the finish line. And that's what really hit me down in Clearwater. I've done some local emceeing here around Pittsburgh, and I've done a decent amount of emceeing on stages where it's more of a business setup or a conference type, and I love doing that as well. Clearwater was the first one where it was on a little bit of a bigger scale, and that just meant more people were coming through, which meant that my energy was just increasing significantly throughout the entire finish line. And I was very blessed that a guy, Michael, who was the other MC down there, he was cool with me coming on. I mean, he gave me hours on the microphone, and we had a fun time kicking it back and forth to each other. But it's just, for me, and maybe it's my ADHD going on during these races, but you just don't know what's going to happen when you're emceeing an event. And I love giving motivational speeches. That's one of my passions. But I also kind of know what's going to happen. You give me the microphone and I can say what I want for 30 or 45 minutes. And there's not a lot of as much uncertainty. emceeing, it's like these names are coming in. You don't know what's going on. This is the winner's coming in. I'll share an embarrassing story that happened. So right shortly after I got the microphone the first time in Clearwater, like I'm excited. I'm running around calling people's names that are coming in. And the woman 50K leader was coming in. And the race director told me, okay, this woman has, I think she had a gray top on and pink shorts. Look out for this person, look out for this woman. She is the leader of the 50K. And I want to make a big deal of it. And they have the red tape. She's going to cross the
Right.
finish line. So here comes pink shorts. I get on the mic. I'm excited for her. Here comes the winner of the women's 50K crossing the fit. Wrong woman. It was not even
Oh,
the
no.
right person. She was running the full marathon, not 50K. They had to move the tape out of the way. And luckily, both of these women were so nice, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that.
Yeah.
But then shortly after, I swear they were wearing almost the same outfit, pink shorts. Here comes the actual winner. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I just ruined both of these women's finishes. And
Um,
they couldn't have been nicer about it. But
yeah.
it's just, I almost like that uncertainty of you don't know what's going to happen. And all these people are coming in, and can I make it memorable for all of them,
Yeah.
even though it feels like your head spinning? So I'm so excited to be there. And I told you that
It's
if
cool.
I don't leave with my voice gone, I didn't do my job. So I'm bringing it big time.
I can't wait. Yeah. And when Scoletti and I talked about this, so I own, just backstory for those that don't know the Run.Windsor race series. So I do 9 local races a year in Northern Colorado. So 6 in Windsor, 2 in Severance this year, and 1 out in Greeley. And they're anywhere from 500, probably 600 this year, up to 1,200 runners per race. And then, of course, like all their families and friends. But I started this in 2017 was the first 5K. And then it's just built from there. Well, when it started, um, I was just me on the mic and on top of race director. And I've had a couple of like, business partners through it and other race directors helping different other aspects of the race. But my favorite part of the race was always emceeing. Not only because, yes, like you said, it's just so fun to celebrate, but it's also, the unknowns and people coming in crying or hugging. But then as the Run.Windsor race series continued to build, and I got to know all of the runners, right? Whether they were runners that I was coaching when I had a big women's running group pre-COVID, 50 runners in this group. So of course, when Sarah Robertson's crossing the finish line, like I trained her for this race. I'm stoked. I want to yell and scream and be there for her. But then as it's grown, now we see repeat runners come back time after time, whether they're local or coming from, different cities in Colorado or out of state. But I'll get to know these names and just get jazzed. But so that energy is like, it's like nothing else. I mean, and it's not for everyone too. That's another thing is I've had other people work for me in the past where just the energy of the day in general, even if you're not on the mic as a race director, someone involved, it is draining. But for me, it's life-giving. Like I get done directing a race, especially if I get to be on the mic and MC a little bit and cheer for people. I'm like cloud nine. I can go for 10 more hours, stay awake. I'm like ready to celebrate. So I do love that. It's such a magical piece of a race. And fast forward to today, on top of those 9 local races, we also have 2 overnight relay races that my business partner Sean and I just acquired this past year that we'll get into more detail about. But those are insane because it's from 5 a.m. on Friday through Saturday afternoon. So by the time we get to the finish, we've been awake nonstop because there's very little sleep when you've got people traveling across the state of Colorado, and you as the race director, like, you have to stay awake. You have to travel. You have to make sure everyone's safe. So me trying to be on the mic at the end of Wild West last year was like, I want to and I love it, but I have nothing left in the tank. So anyways, I'm just so honored and grateful to bring you on because I think it's so different than someone just reading names at a finish line. Like, you can do that, but it's not fun. Like, if you don't have the passion and if someone isn't behind the mic that loves running, understands these runners, can be stoked and jazzed, that I can share with you, the night before the races, we'll meet some runners and we'll sit around the campfire and I'll share with you stories of who you're going to see tomorrow. And then you'll be jazzed and excited to see them. So I'm just really excited to share most of the mic duties with you. And I told Scoletti, we have 2 mics. So every once in a while I will probably hop on and give out my special shout outs to my special family and friends. But it is a cool experience, and it takes a tribe to put on these races. And the MC part of it is such a big component. So we're excited to get you out to Colorado.
I can't wait. And I'm so glad that you're going to hop on the mic too. You're the boss. You take the mic whenever you want. And also, that's unbelievable that you were a race director. I had a tough enough time at any of these events, even a local one, just emceeing. I can't even imagine race directing, making sure everything's running smooth. And then at the end, hopping on the mic for a few hours to get everybody amped up for the finish line. You're on another level, Mandy. That's impressive.
Thank you. I'm hoping this energy is like life-giving and extends my life later on and isn't just like super training. Like,
It
this is
is.
the battery pack, just keep going, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. I don't know how you are. I'm a big time extrovert where like you said, when we were on the mic for him and I down in Clearwater, 8 hours, whatever it was. And when the last runner came through, I'm like, that's it. Like, let's keep going. I want to go for another 8 hours. So I'm a weirdo that
Even though your
I'll hang
voice
out with
is gone, you're
people.
like, oh, you can still go.
Oh,
Go.
okay. Yeah. I'll get my licorice root tea or whatever it is, and we'll get a few more hours in. So yeah, my voice was shot in the best way after that. It's just so fun. And even the local ones where it's maybe 100 runners, I love that too, because you get, like you said, with the personal interaction, you get a chance to see these people up close and big high five or hug or whatever it is when they cross the finish line. And I think they appreciate that, because I can remember my finish lines where you get a chance to high five the MC and they say your name on the mic. It's like, wow, that was pretty cool. That was really awesome that he or she gave me that love when I crossed the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait. So our plan for this year, this is new and exciting for the run.Windsor race series, is not only is Scoletti obviously a passionate runner and huge cheerleader of just any human trying to crush things, big or small. So he'll be on the mic for 4 of our events, which we'll get into in a minute, but he's also an incredible motivational speaker. Clearly has a great story of perseverance and grit himself. And so the night before each of these races, Scoletti will be here to give an in-person motivational talk to all of our runners and our community. So we're going to invite the whole community out to these speaking events. Even if you're not running the race, you are invited. It is free. It is open to all. Windsor Gives, our local nonprofit, is helping to make the speaking engagement part of this happen. So it's just going to be open to everybody to come and attend. And so we'll probably talk about locations and time of all of that, but we'll tag it a little bit onto our packet pickup experience for these races. So not only will you get to hear from Scoletti, pump you up, get you fired up for your race the night before the race, which I just can't wait for. We'll also get to see him on race day, bringing the energy. So I'm
I
really
can't
excited about
wait.
that. And then, yeah, maybe let's just get into the races that you're coming out for.
Yeah.
And I want to get your community pumped. If you guys are friends with Scoletti or following him, he's going to have some discount codes, coupon codes to hand out to get all of you out here to support him too. I know he's not nervous at all, but if he's got any family or friends that want to come out and support, he's going to have his own comp code and coupon code for these races. And I'm just going to
Wait,
kind of go through and talk about them.
can I just share something real quick?
Yeah.
Just like how you said, and I know you're joking, like saying I'm not nervous. For anybody that struggles to give speeches in public or anytime you're handed a microphone, I've probably emceed maybe 50 events and given hundreds of speeches. Every time before I get a microphone, I get the nervous jitters every single time. And it's, to me, I used to frame that as in, oh my God, I'm not ready. I'm going to panic. This is going to be horrible. Now it's, this means I am ready. This means I'm amped up and it's important to me. And that's why I'm getting nervous. And the day that I don't have any jitters or any of that, I'm going to be nervous that I'm not nervous. So for anyone that's struggling with public speaking and you think the nervousness means you should not be up there, I would reframe it and make it the opposite. I think it means this is important to you and you're about to deliver a message that could impact a lot of people in that audience.
I love that. I love that you've reframed it into taking ownership and the responsibility of the job, right? Because it's important
Yeah.
to peers. It's the same thing about towing a start line. Like
Yeah.
I get nervous every time. Even
Me
if I
too.
know, even if I know I get a run slow and it's an ultra and I'm not having a sprint, it's still nerve-wracking because you know you're about to do a job and it's important. So
100%
love it.
totally agree. Yeah.
I love it. All right. So we have 4 times that you're coming out here out of the 12 races that we put on. And that's just for this year. And then next year we're going to see you more often, I'm sure.
Oh,
Um,
I love that. Yeah.
so the first one is May 25th. And it's for the Weld Your Metal race. And this is the race that probably has the biggest backstory to it. And I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but Weld Your Metal was the first ultra marathon that we took on as race directors. And it came the night after the Windsor Marathon in October of 2021. Yes, 2021. It was the first year we put on a full marathon. And I think Nick and I were actually probably having a post-race beer. I remember we were sitting outside and we were like, we could have done more today. Like we should have done more than a full marathon. We need to do an ultra. And this is coming out of COVID. And Nick was really, so he's in the Colorado Air National Guard full time. He's a full time active duty service member in the Air Force, and he was really just speaking on like in northern Colorado, Weld County, we have a very big like um, military presence, just hard workers, oil field workers, like just a lot of like hardworking American spirit that we really take a lot of pride in. You know, a lot of farmers, country, ranching, like just hard workers, a lot of small business. It's a really strong knit community. And through COVID, we really felt like as a community, we really came together. And so Nick had this idea of like, we need to celebrate that. Like, we need to celebrate some sort of like gritty, Weld County, we're tough, we can get through anything kind of spirit. And so the idea was that we would do this Weld County line ultra marathon that goes from county line to county line, which is, for those of you in Colorado, it's from Windsor, one end of Windsor, all the way to Greeley, which is the next city over, and then back. And it would be a 50K. And so a 32-mile race. And so we sent it to our graphic designer. I told her, here's our idea and our vision. And she came back with, so I think we said, we'll call it the Weld County Line Ultra. You know, we talked a little like oil field, gritty, hardworking American, and blue collar, and she's like, she came back with the graphic design and I'll share it somehow, but maybe I can share my screen in a minute, but she came back with the Weld Your Metal Ultra and metal, METTLE. And she said, do you know what metal means? And I was like, I think I do. I have a general idea, but she sent the description and it's basically what you have, the grit, determination that you have when the going gets tough. Like, what is your metal? Like, what do you have in you? And it was the perfect, like what we wanted to convey. Like, we've all got way more in the tank than what we think. Like, we are made of toughness. We can do this, whether it's your first 7K or your first ultra marathon. Like, this is your opportunity to weld your metal, dig deep, remember your reason why. So I love this race and all the meaning behind it so much. So we put it on for a couple of years, and it was a 7K because that's, 4 miles just above a 5K. So we were able to tell people, like, if you've always just done, you got 5K people that are like, 5Ks, that's it. I'll never do more. This was
Yep.
like, you can do just a little bit more. You can do a 7K. So the race always had a 7K, a run, and a military ruck. and then a half marathon, full marathon, and a 50K. So it was our first ultra. And we ran this trail that ran from city to city and back. And then the ruck really came from a portion of the proceeds from this race. We donate back to a local 501c3 nonprofit called Health for Heroes. And they're a whole community of basically giving service members, veterans, first responders, access to physical fitness to enhance their mental health. And so this group does fundraising to, take a group of veterans or first responders, anyone that's a member, they try to fund most of the expenses for like a snowmobiling trip or snowshoeing or to run a race, all of these other things. And then they all get discounts from local like fitness providers. So for example, Health for Hero members get 50% off of my races. I think they like 40% off, yoga studio in Fort Collins. So it's super cool nonprofit, but that's where the ruck came from. So they're always out there rucking with their military flag. So that's the race.
I
We
love that story. That's an amazing story. I'm
Thank you. I
getting
don't think
even
I
more
shared with
juiced
you
up.
the mission of it, did I?
I mean, not the full thing. No, definitely not. And I love that 501c3. I love the metal word, that grittiness. I mean, I got goosebumps that whole time you were just sharing all of that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's what's cool is it's like it comes from one little idea, but as soon as you wrap the community into it, the rest of it is all of the community, right? The nonprofit, Health for Heroes, um, North Range Behavioral Health is our title sponsor for this race specifically because we really try to tie in, and I think I've shared this with you, the mental and emotional well-being that comes along with running. And it's all full circle, right? Like running and endurance isn't just about the physical well-being, it's about our whole wellness. And so North Range Behavioral Health is our behavioral health system here. I'm actually on their board of directors, but they're based out of Greeley. So they do a lot of work with us for this race. Like they provide stickers to participants that have, different words. It's like weld your hope. So all these different words of just hope and wellness. So they do a lot of activation to try to get the messaging out of this race as well. So anyways, that's Weld Your Metal, but we're changing the format this year, which is my kind of exciting announcement. So we've normally done this race on the trail, and we've talked though about bringing kind of a more authentic Colorado experience to it. And I was training a good friend of mine, Ryan. Well, he's now a good friend, but he was training for his first marathon. He lives in Eaton, Colorado, which is just literally right here. Um, and he approached me after he ran his first marathon, and we got him through that. And he's like, listen, we've got like 140 acres of private farmland in Eaton, which if you're from Colorado, any of this kind of on this side of I-25, you get the best views of the mountains, of the whole Rocky Mountain range. And he's like, I've got these incredible views, 140 acres, private farmland. There's a couple of barns, wide open space, a great little trail, that we can run on. Do you want to ever host a race out here? And so we went and took a look at it, and I was like, absolutely. Like this is a race that we need to have out here. And so they're currently in the process of grooming the land to make this trail, this 4-mile kind of loop trail. And Weld Your Metal will be held there, and it will now be a 7K. So it'll kind of be one of the complete loops. It's kind of like an out and back type of loop situation. But then we're also doing a 3-hour, 6-hour, 9, 12, and 24-hour race where you run loops as many times as you want. It's not on the hour every hour. It's just, here's the start time, run as many loops as you can. You take breaks when you want. We'll have food being cooked in the barns. We'll have some food trucks. We've got live music lined up, tent camping. So all of this activation right at the start and the finish line of the loop, right? So while people are out there running, we've got this whole like running party happening with views of the Rocky Mountains on these old rustic barns. So I'm really excited about that. And then the race format itself, because I knew I threw 24 hours out there, so that's daunting for some people that aren't ultra runners. But we do have a relay option, so you can get a team of 2 up to 12 people to do the 3, 6, 9, 12, or 24-hour race. And so if you get a team of 6, one person goes out and runs the 4-mile loop, the next person goes, again, as many as you want. You guys all take a break as a team to like eat some lunch, listen to music, get back out there. You know, even if someone wanted to take 5 hours to sleep in the middle of the night, great, get back out there. And it really is just, what do you have to weld your metal? What is the best version of you? And we're going to party it up. And at the very end, so when you do finish your race, Ryan's property, he actually is a custom woodworker and does like custom building products. And he has a lot of like rustic old wood out there. So we're making medal and bib holders, and you'll get to brand your name onto this barnwood medal and bib holder. And that's your finisher prize.
I love
So
that
excited.
finisher. That's amazing. Like that finisher prize, that has to be the most unique thing I've ever heard of in any event I've ever witnessed. And I've seen a lot of them. That is, the whole format is so cool too. Whether you're solo or with a relay team, and 4 miles is short enough where you'll get a chance to see people often, and the vibe will probably be very high. I just think that's, and I love how it's you against you for all of the runners out there. If
Yeah.
you're 24 hours, maybe your goal is 90 miles and mine is 20, but we like, it's just us versus us and helping each other push towards their limit and then a little bit beyond that. This is so cool, the whole story and how you set this up. I think you need to get a lot of credit, Mandy, for working your butt off to make this happen. And I don't even know how much work goes on behind closed doors, but I'm sure it's a ton. And thank you for all you're doing to make such an epic event happen. This is so cool.
Thank you. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's addicting. It's so fun. And I mean, without people like Ryan offering up his property, you know, it's just, and like right now, I think with this nice weather, he's out actually like, we went and showed him the route we want to run. So he's out there like clearing all the weeds. So it'll be a nice runnable path, but you're still out in a pasture. And it just, yeah, I'm so excited for the format, and just the camping aspect, right? Like we're gonna have day camping, night camping, you bring your tent, and I think it'll be cool. So I think that's like the world we're entering to, is in the endurance world, is people are looking for more than just your standard road race. They're wanting human connection and fun and music and energy. And so I really am excited for Weld Your Metal to bring that this year. So that's May
I can't
25th.
wait. Yep. I can't
Um,
wait.
our next one is, because we've got 4 to get through. That's my longest story one. The next one is Red, White, and Brew. So this is June 22nd. Again, this is also in Windsor. And this normally is a race we hold at our lake, and it's a 5K and a 10K. But because I'm me and I need to keep, you know, growing and making things crazier and more fun, we're adding on a half marathon this year, but we're also adding on a 12-hour, on the hour, every hour, like last man standing, except for we're going to cut you off after 12 hours. So we have a new location for this race. People in Colorado might have heard of Hoedown Hill. It is the largest tubing ski snowboard hill, in, I don't know, they're saying in the US, something about the slope or the length of it is biggest in the US. So don't quote me on that. But we're in Windsor. We're not in the mountains. We're on the Front Range. We're on the I-25 corridor. So it's very unique that we have somewhere that in our town you can go snowboarding and skiing. And I've actually taken my kiddo snowboarding on it a couple of times, and it's a blast.
I
But
love it.
Water Valley Company is a big partner of Run Windsor, and we've always partnered together mostly on their venues. They have really incredible venues and locations. And so in talking with their team, they're like, we've got this big ass hill. What are we going to do on it? And I'm like, well, we're going to put on a race. Of course. Why wouldn't we?
Yes.
They're like, you people going to run on it? I'm like, yes, they're going to run on it. I'm your girl. Step, like, just give me the venue. I need a little support, and we're going to do this. So Red, White, and Brew this year will be at the base of Hoedown Hill. And there is a reservoir out there as well. So while people are running, you know, 5K, 10K, half marathon around this reservoir, there are, you know, the activation, like water sports happening out there all day long. So full family events. It's also basically on a golf course. And so there's golfing, all of these water sports you can do, as well as like the running event. We'll have bouncy houses, snow cone truck, food, beverages, like a whole full day of partying at the base of Hoedown Hill. And the fun formats of this race, so 5K, 10K, stroller friendly, family friendly, super fun. The half marathon route is going to run up this giant hill at least one time and then see other parts of Windsor. So a lot of hills, a lot of incredible views. We've got a trail that runs along the Poudre River Trail that they'll run on. And then the 12-hour race for this will start at 7 a.m. will be the first lap. Last lap will be at 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. maybe. I think, yeah, it would be 6 p.m. So I think the first route, though, the first 4 mile loop that you have to do does include this hill. And it is a pretty steep, I can't remember the elevation gain of the hill right off the top of my head. We've run it several times, but it's a steep one. It's a 1/4 mile, really feels like a straight uphill. If anyone's done the Leadville Silver Rush 50-mile race in Leadville, you start your first 1/4 mile straight uphill. This feels a lot like that. So the first loop we're going to make people do will include this big uphill, downhill 4 mile loop. The rest of the day will be nice to you and you don't have to run the hill the whole time. It'll be a flat 4 mile trail out on the Poudre River Trail. Yeah, so that's red, white, and brew.
And that sounds like this is going to be such a social vibe mixed in with running and fun activities going on. And as you're explaining it, Manny, I'm thinking I need to make sure I run at least one of these loops every time before I do anything because I want to see what it feels like too. That hill, it got my juices flowing. I'm excited to see what this hill is like. That sounds like a blast in the most weird way. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think, and I'm like, now I'm dreaming and I'm like, we need to get plunge out there. We need to get cold plunging happening at the base of the hill. So I'm dreaming big. I don't know what that takes, but if anyone listening has any connection, I'd love to talk about getting some cold plunges out there. I think that would be super great. We will have non-alcoholic, non-NA beer sponsor there. We've also have a couple of brewers that are wanting to brew a beer for the race. It'll be at the base of the hill as well. So tons of fun, like food and drink and food trucks. So it'll be cool. Yeah, but we're looking for more. I think so far I have like 15 people signed up for the 12-hour race. So I want at least 20, 30 people signed up for this 12-hour race. And again, it's not, you don't have to do the full 12 hours, right? It's maybe you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 hours in you, and it's just, let's see how many times you can go.
I appreciate you saying that, Manny, because I think that's one thing that I did not understand before getting into ultra running. I thought when you hear 12 hours, first thing I thought was I have to completely run 12 hours straight. And it's like, well, no, I'm not going to run off the mountain every single time. Like you are allowed to walk, you're allowed to rest, you're allowed to eat, you're allowed to go to the bathroom, like all these things. It's not like you're sprinting for 12 hours. And I think I love how you said that because it makes it a lot less intimidating, which I think it should be. And I think a lot of ultra runners, maybe the way it's described sounds like this horrible thing where you just destroy your body for 12 hours. And I think it could be as difficult as you want, but it can also be a more fun experience where you just see how far you can go in those 12 hours. So I like how you serve that up. That was really well said.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I realize, I mean, I know that because I run ultras and I know I can take breaks and I can walk and, eat while you walk and sit down and change your clothes. But I think being at, 29 or 29 really did open my eyes to like, people do come out here and just give it their all for as many hours as they can and then they're done. But that was their version of their best. And it's different for everyone. And I fully respect that. And I think that that's part of the I feel like I have a responsibility and the run.Windsor team has a responsibility to embrace that for everybody and just make sure no one ever feels insignificant or left out or like they're not worthy because they're not doing as much as somebody else. And so I'm excited to introduce this kind of format to Northern Colorado. We really don't have anything yet like this here. I think there's one other ultra race that's coming in Loveland that I saw online. So it's cool to see that we're starting to embrace these longer distances here in like rural Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Red, White, and Brew. So you'll be out here again in June. So that's do it for May, June, and then Wild West Relay is the Run Colorado production. This relay has been going on for 20 years.
Wow.
Actually, this will be year 21. We celebrated 20 last year. No, I've not been the race director that long because I'm far too old for that. of course. But it was started, just joking. It was started by a gentleman named Paul who had participated in some other cross-state relay races across the country and was like, you know what, I'm going to do better. I want to bring a cool course to Colorado. So he started it, and he was, just phasing out of being a race director. It's a lot of work. He was turning 70. And so he sold it to Sean and I 2 years ago. So last year was the first year that we owned both of these two relay races. There's Wild West and another called Flaming Foliage. But Wild West Relay is the first weekend in August, so August 2nd and 3rd. And it's a 200-mile cross-state relay race from Fort Collins, Colorado to Steamboat. And these are the only two relay races actually cross distance in Colorado. There's a couple of trails that are like loops, similar to like my Welger Medal format, right? Where your team camps and you just run loops. These are the only two where you actually get in vans and you travel from the start to the finish. You start in Fort Collins on Friday morning at 5 a.m. and you run while your van chases you or goes in front of you, right? All day, all night, all day Saturday. And so the trail itself is just breathtaking. I can't wait for you to experience it with us. The sunrises, the sunsets, you're running on dirt forest roads through Red Feather. We've got a little bit of, trail feeling up through Dead Man's Pass. You run into wild horses as you're coming
Oh,
out of Dead Man's Pass into the sunset. Every year, there's always horses out there. It's so beautiful. You dip up into Wyoming for this race as well. So there's this old dance hall called Woods Landing, and they serve us a spaghetti dinner up until about midnight on Friday night. And so it's fun, so fun vibes. You go into this dance hall, everyone's eating spaghetti and people are like sleeping on the table. Some people might be enjoying a beer, like it's just a total vibe of all these teams coming together to eat spaghetti in the middle of this wild adventure. And then it goes up Rabbit Ears Pass and then down into Steamboat Springs. And the finish is at the Steamboat Springs ski resort. So like the actual gondola in the base of the mountain is where we get a finish. So you go from this like rugged, no one's showering, you're all dirty and smelly, living in vans for a couple of days. And then you finish at this like prime resort where we've got a gourmet finisher meal for you. So they actually come out and cater it for us. So we've got beverages and catered lunch for you at the finish line. It's magic. I don't know if I shared this with you, but I took a team of 24 women to run this race. Well, two teams of 12 equaling 24 women to run this race when I started Run.Windsor in 2018. And at the end of it, I shared that I still believe this today, that on my deathbed as an old lady, like this will be one of the prime memories of my life because it's so epic, it's so fun, it's so challenging and adventurous, but it's also so attainable for literally anybody. I mean, if you can run a 10K to a half marathon, you can run this race. It's really cool.
that's I got goosebumps when you were saying that. On your deathbed, looking back, this was one of the events that you love more than any of them. And that sounds like, because it sounds so fun. And I love the team unity part of it, where if you're running, obviously that's exciting. But if you're in the van, that's exciting too, because you get to bond with your teammates and spend time with one another over the course of how long is the event usually take?
36 hours is our cutoff. Is that right? 36. You'll learn this about me. I'm really bad with numbers, like really
I'm not great either.
which is not good for a race director. I realize that.
You have other people around you to
I've
take
got
care of
other
all that
people to
stuff.
make sure we're marking the course correctly. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think we start at 5 a.m. and then last year we actually managed to time it so all the teams were done by like 2 p.m. on Saturday. And so
Wow.
then it was just this big party and we're blasting music and everyone's eating and having fun. Um, yeah, it's really magical. And the cool thing is that while it's a relay race, we have different team formats that you can do. So you can do a team of 12 as kind of your standard team, meaning each person runs 3 different times, and the legs range from 2 miles up to, I think the longest at Wild West is 9 miles. I think that's your longest leg. I don't think we have anything longer than that. Um, So, you know, you might get out and run 2 miles, and the next time you run 5, and the next time you run 7. So super attainable for a team of 12. And then with that team of 12, you've got 2 vans. So one van is active while that runner is out there running. The other van is inactive. So runners 1 through 6, you know, all go in order from van 1, and then they get to rest and have a couple hours off, more than that, probably like 4 hours off, while van 2 takes over and they run. But like the coolest parts are just meeting other teams. You know, you get to the exchanges and teams get out and get a laugh and meet and have fun and take pictures and blast music and cheer for runners. It's super cool. But then we also have ultra teams. So you could get out and do it with 2 or 3 or 4 people, however many people you're wanting to share these 200 miles with. And I think I told you last year we had our first solo runner.
You did tell me that. That is badass. Yeah, you did
Yeah.
tell me that.
Yeah, so we're open. If you want to solo this thing or you want to share it with one other friend and you each run 100 miles, hit me up. We are open to facilitating that again. But we did have an individual. Her name was Erin. She ran the whole thing by herself. We started her on Wednesday morning and she finished with the rest of the team Saturday afternoon. And like, if you want to talk about vibes during a race, like that was it. And so she'd started then, but then we had another gentleman fly in from England specifically to run this race. And he just wanted to run 100 miles. So he ran from Fort Collins to Woods Landing, which is exactly the halfway point. And then crazy funny story for another time about how he finished, because I know we're running out of time. But anyways, the whole time though out there, every time we got to exchanges, even if they weren't talking to me, I could hear the teams talking to each other and be like, have you guys seen the 200-mile runner? Have you seen the 100-mile runner? Like, they're eager because they're wondering, and they're asking the volunteers, right, at the exchanges, has she come through? How is she? And, you know, it's like this buzz because all these relay teams are trying to catch up to the solo runners. So it's freaking cool, man. We're just honored to be able to put it on. And it takes a village. This race, you know, Sean and I are the only two really employees. I mean, as the owners, we've got a small staff of like independent contractors we have for the weekend to help us make it happen. But then last year we had like 120 volunteers. So it is very volunteer heavy.
Wow.
And then all the volunteer groups that volunteer on behalf of a nonprofit, we donate back to those local nonprofits. So there's a
Wow,
lot
that's amazing.
that goes in.
120 volunteers. That's so impressive. I mean, that just goes to show you how many people want to help out and what you're doing. They're all in on. I love this.
Yeah, they're cool. Most of the volunteers have been volunteering for this race since Paul started it, which is super
Oh,
cool because I also am like, when people are like, this race was run so great, I'm like, we can really not take that much credit because a lot of these volunteers know their job better than we do. Like, I'll get to an exchange and they tell me like, this is how we're going to do this. I'm like, you're in charge. You've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years. You do you. They're
yeah.
they're amazing. It's really cool. And it's just fun to be out on a course too and run. And you can feel the vibe of local volunteers. Like, you can tell it's not some big corporate run, fancy, high-end, expensive, bougie event. Like, it is local, it is Colorado native. So that's Wild West.
I love Wild West. I love all of these. They're all so different too. I think that makes it even more fun.
Yeah, they're a little different for sure. Okay, so the last one that we have to hit on is the marathon. So the Windsor Marathon is usually our largest event of the year. It's a huge undertaking because we are covering 26 miles in, you know, in a city in Windsor, Colorado. It's a mix of terrain. It's golf course path along the Poudre River. We have some single track trails. We have 2 really giant hills you have to run up. Well, actually just one now. One really big hill you have to run up, a bridge you get to run over. But the coolest thing, and I don't know if you've looked at the website yet, Scoletti, but the coolest thing is that you start and you end on an island in the middle of Windsor, Colorado. And there are fake palm trees and a beach, a real beach, but like fake palm trees. And it's actually this event island that we're so lucky to get to use from the Water Valley Company, so another Water Valley property here. And yeah, there's a 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon.
Is
This
this
is kind of more your quintessential marathon, typical road running, high vibe, family friendly events.
is that island, has that been used each year or is that new?
every year.
Oh, because that's,
Yeah,
I love that. That looks so cool.
it's super cool. The first year we did this race, it was just a half, and it was in October of 2020.
Oh,
And it was one of the only road races that happened in Colorado in 2020. It was wild. So, I mean, the town tried to tell me we couldn't have it. And at the time, I owned a gym, a brick and mortar group fitness studio. And any money that the Run Windsor race series could make was helping me cover the rent of the gym, right? Because like I lost my ass on that. We had only
yeah,
been open for a year. I wasn't eligible for any grants because you didn't get any grant funding unless you had been open for 2 years. Well, who needs the money the most? The new brick and mortars.
you're
So
right.
anyways, when they tried to tell me I wasn't putting on this race, I was like, no, because if this race can make any money, I've got rent to pay at this gym. So I'm putting on this race. And if you'd like to have someone come arrest me, so be it. I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's outside. We can do this safely. People need to run. So we had to limit it to 300 runners. They all had to wear masks to start. I could only start 25 people at a time. We had to put X's on the ground to show people where to stand. But we had people run. We had people come from, I think, 15 different states. And
Oh,
I had never put on a half marathon. So the only reason people were coming from out of state is because there was literally nothing else happening. And I had like 200 people on the wait list. And that's really
this,
when I fell in love with race directing, probably. But that year it wasn't on the island. And then after that, we moved it over to the island.
I love that you found a way to make that happen. And I assume you did not get arrested.
I did not. No, and the mayor was there.
Oh,
Um,
wow. That's
oh yeah,
great.
yeah, and he comes to most of our races. He's a huge supporter of ours, but it was funny because he shows up and he's not wearing a mask. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh, like I don't want to wear a mask either, but like we're having to follow these really strict rules, right? And I'm telling all the runners you have to wear masks to start. And Paul's there and he's not wearing a mask. And I'm like, could you just put on a mask, please? And I mean, politically, Weld County is more on the right side. And so politically, like you would find more people not masking in Weld County than you would. So the mayor's like, I'm not wearing a mask. And I'm like, okay, but there are people here from like all over the country. And also the rules that the town made me put in place that everyone has to wear a mask. Like I got my permit because the town of Windsor, whom you work for, because you're the mayor, like just put on a damn mask, Paul. It was really funny though. It was so cool. I have a picture I'll share with you. That's like one of my favorites of the sun coming up and the fire department's behind all these runners and they're all staged wearing masks running. It just was this quintessential, like again, like do hard things, you know?
do hard things. I love that. And that was even harder because of all the hoops you had to go through, I'm sure. And you still found a way to make it happen. I love that. And I love the banter with the mayor as well. I think that's really cool. It's just so cool how unique of experiences all four of those events are. And I love that. Like, that's just, I mean, as much as I can't wait to be on the mic the whole time, at some point I'm going to be running one of these events, if not all of them, because
Yeah.
you have some amazing setups going on out there.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about your flights. We'll have to talk more offline too, but I mean, we have to go out and mark the course like the day before. And so if you're here for part of that, that's usually when we get to run them as we go and double check mile markers, make sure we're on point with everything. And so don't worry, we will get you out for some runs while you're out here for all of these. And we'll make
Okay,
sure
good.
as we're traveling through Wild West, we always hop out and run some of those legs. So I will most certainly be kicking you out of the car
Kick
and
me
I'll
out.
hand pick them like Dead Man's Pass. You are most definitely doing that one. It's a time trial. So whoever does Dead Man's Pass the fastest, I think Hoka's sponsoring us again this year. And so our top 3 men and women will get a free pair of Hoka shoes for
Oh,
Dead
that's
Man's
fun.
Pass.
That's all. How far is Dead Man's Pass? What's the
It is
mileage under?
9 or 10 miles.
Oh, that's a good
It's a,
amount. That's
it's a,
nice.
it's a good one, and it's straight uphill. It's a dirt forest hill. So you're surrounded by trees on either side. It's dirt, it's dusty, it's beautiful. It could be hot or it could be pouring rain. I've run it twice now where it's pouring rain and like cried at the end of both of them from just magic and pure euphoria of like how lucky are we that we get to run on terrain like this? and that it can just pour rain. And your only mission in life right now is to just get up this hill. And it's beautiful. And you're surrounded by trees and you have no other worry in the world. And there's not cell phone service, even if you wanted it. I
That
don't know.
sounds like heaven. That
It's
legit sounds like heaven.
just heaven. So you'll be running Dead Man's Pass. I won't let you forget that.
I won't forget that. I want a piece of Dead Man's Pass tomorrow. I'm ready.
Yeah, it'll be cool. So that's your lineup. That's what you're coming out for.
I that's like all of it is just my only downside is it's not tomorrow. I gotta wait until round one, but I'm so honored to be a part of this. I cannot wait to bring as much energy as my body will possibly allow me to bring. And this is just I'm euphoric over here just thinking about and visualizing how all these events are gonna be. And I'm just stoked beyond belief.
Well, I can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be great. We're honored to have you. It'll be at the start of something great. And so all the registration is open for literally all of these events, plus the rest that we didn't even get into today. But it's run.WindsorCO.com is our website. And so we'll be sure to tag a link to it. So if anyone's wanting to register, or if you want to hit up Scoletti for a discount code for anything, um, all of the races that are here in Windsor, so really all of them, we were talking earlier about our property. So if you guys are traveling and you need somewhere to stay the night before these races, don't get a hotel, bring a tent, or we can, have accommodations, but we've got land here. So we're open to having a camping fun tent party for y'all to stay the night before, the night after the race. We've got land here. For our special friends that are watching and hearing about this. So just contact Scoletti or I if you want to be involved in the camping crew before and after the race. You can just camp on the Mullen Homestead.
I love that. It's like building community before the event starts. It's going to be so much fun. Again, I thank you for having me come out there, and I'm so beyond excited. I cannot contain myself.
Well, me too. And I guess I get to see you in a week for our adventure camp.
Yes, you do. Savage Adventure Camp next week. I'm so excited. Yeah, this is good. There's so much good going on in 2024, and it's just like such a blessing, and we're all just having a good time pushing each other to these new limits.
Yeah, it'll be great. Well, thanks for the chat today. I knew you and I could quickly take up an hour of time and we could talk.
Oh yeah,
So we
easy.
should
We could
probably get
go
on
for
with our days. And those of you guys watching, check out these events. Come out and have some fun with us. Volunteer or come and run, whatever it might be. And Matt, I am going to see you in a week.
Yes, let's do it. Thanks again
All
for
right.
having me come on. This has been so much fun.
Absolutely. Cheers, friend.
See ya. See you, Mandy.
Bye.
See you.